Hey, I am now live streaming from the Hagen's Alley Lair over here in lovely Georgia. Gonna wait for some people to trickle in. I can see the comments right here on the screen. Gonna try to look at the camera since if I look up where I'm at, it looks like I'm looking upwards. So, what we're gonna do today is talk about the Switch Collector Volume 1. We're going to be doing a book release because I got something awesome in the mail. Got the actual book in the mail. So, I'm going to be showing that off. Also, if you comment right now and are in the comment section and subscribe to my channel, which I enable subscribers, we can go ahead and get you in a contest, which JP from JP Switch Mania are out there. He is going to be doing a giveaway, and on Friday we'll be choosing somebody to be getting a free copy of the Switch Collector, which I will be showing here very shortly. What's up, Closable? Closable says, yay! So yeah, we'll wait for some people to get in. What's up, Sean Robinson? We got Skull, and I saw Paul up there earlier. So yeah, it's really interesting, even with this whole crazy pandemic stuff still happening. I have been working on Volume 2 diligently, so it might take some time to get the book done, because Year 2 is huge, people. But it should be amazing. So people want to see it. Uh-oh. Can't believe my baby was turned down. What was your baby? Uh-oh. So, Skull, you say Volume 2 is bound to be huge, and you're not wrong. There's a lot of games. Double the amount. There's probably 4 times the amount of digital-only games that need to be highlighted, too. Like, things are insane when it comes to Year 2. The thing is that Year 2 isn't necessarily going to be Volume 2, if that makes sense. And when you're about to see the spine of the book, and I want to show the book and unveil it all in one piece. But when I show the spine, you're going to notice I put a date range for a reason. So if it turns out to be that there is more than 500 plus pages of Volume 2, we may split it into 2 volumes. Each volume will be substantial. Because right here, if I look down off camera, it's almost 312 pages just in Volume 1. Year 1 was small on the Switch. There wasn't that many games. And the thing is, and you're right, Kyoto Films, limited print stuff starts in Year 2. And the problem is that things go crazy. Things go crazy when you start adding the limited prints. Plus, the way we went about this book, and when I show you the layouts, we are doing that going forward. Just because there's a million games in Year 2, and then even more last year in Year 3, doesn't mean we're going to change the quality of the book going forward. The quality is still going to be the same that you're going to see here, with the same amount of content given to the games that deserve content. So you're about to see Legend of Zelda has 8 pages, which includes full-page artwork, some amazing stuff, and we want to cover it all. Encyclopedia Switchanica. So, Paul, it's funny you say that because Switchopedia.com goes to the Switch Collector book pre-order. I already own Switchopedia.com. So this is our Switchopedia. This is literally what we're going through right now. Oh, Jesse, you're talking about the game My Baby. I was like, what are you talking about? You wanna me to play My Baby or something? That was crazy. Volume 2, 3. We're probably, just so you know, for Volume 2/3. So the Kickstarter isn't going to be for Volume 2. The Kickstarter is going to be for Year 2. Because we're going to work on Year 2 all together. And so then the Kickstarter would be 2 volumes if it's 2 volumes. Like, it'll be for one thing. Because it's going to be larger doesn't mean it's going to take twice the amount of conception time, because I already did the research. All the games are already researched. Now I have to build it. I'm going to build it, and then see how many pages there are, and if it's like 700 plus pages, like we're gonna have a split somewhere. And just if volume 3 is a little smaller or volume 2 is a little smaller, depends on where the split happens. That's okay. It'll still work out, and it'll be amazing, and it gives us an opportunity to get a second cover artist, because Rusty Shackles, the cover artist for this one, did amazing. The irony thing is, you say you have to look specifically for limited run games numbers. So Douglas from Limited Run Games did an article in the Switch Collector, which is really cool that he did that. But the other thing that's interesting is you mentioned Limited Run Games, is there's quite a few digital-only games that are in this book that now have a physical release. One of them is in my backlog early, which is World of Goo in Super Rare Games is now released it, which is cool because Super Rare Games released it, which is the idea of the digital onlys. If all these games in this book get released, that'd be amazing. So you're talking about games that get a limited print and a retail release. How we're going to tackle the nuances, right? We're going to tackle those year by year. So what I mean by that is we have a section called Physicals. You got your faux releases, right? There were 2 of those in year 1, which is Death Squared, which now has an announced release, and Sonic Mania in year 1 had a physical release without a game in it. Then later on, Sonic Mania Plus was released. So we handle it as Sonic Mania gets its section in Physicals, and then in the future, when it goes to the physical release, then it gets its own shout out for there. And we're not going to necessarily live in the future if we can avoid it. JP loved writing in the future in his collector corner. I tried to avoid that because I want to keep the book like, hey, so this is year 1, this is year 2, this is year 3, and kind of keep it all intact. JP loves his faux games. The one thing that's interesting with the Physicals too is, especially because year 2 has quite a few, there are some that were released in PAL regions in year 1, yet got a physical in the US in year 2. I'm going to give those a shout out, but they're not going to be a highlight, if that makes sense, because again, we go for the physically released games for the preservation of gaming more so than just the physical, right? I'm so glad you're doing this during the console's lifetime. It's going to be interesting because while I do like it, there's so many unknowns, and also like it'll still be a picture of 2020, if that makes sense. So like we have year 1, but you're going to tell it's released in year 2020 because there's going to be some digital only games that are in here that have a physical release now, and then there'd be some that didn't have a physical release when we started the Kickstarter, but now they do, so they're removed. A Whole New World was one of those. If I didn't have it in hand before I sent it to the printing company, I didn't take it out of the book. So there's still 9 games now that have been released, maybe 10 now. But without further ado, since I've now stalled for about 8 minutes, 9 minutes, let's show off the cover. Everybody ready to see the cover? This is definitely writing history as it happens in front of us. Yeah, I mean, and so I have all of my complete collector books that I do. So I write the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Virtual Boy. I'm working on Sega Genesis, which I'm trying to get done. But stuff like the Switch, I collect for the Switch right now. That's my passion. Whereas the Sega Genesis, which I'm literally playing on this with an EverDrive to play every game in my Nomad. This is literally what I've been writing for years. But when the passion hits and the Switch needs to come out, I make it the priority. That's the interesting piece. 8-Bit Steve is live now. Thanks, 8-Bit Steve. He's actually does the Friday the 13th book. But without further ado, let's show the cover. So here is the cover. As you can see, 2 bookmarks, and we have a classic red Nintendo Switch spine. So, the lighting in here is terrible. Let's see if we can... Wow. There we go. Is that better? There we go. So, because right here, it's not that washed out. It's a super colorful book. I'll sit back like this. There we go. That looks like good. So, this is it. So, I decided to move away from the Switch Collector logo and do a Volume 1 down here. So, everybody knows just from the cover that it's Volume 1. Small little Hagen's Alley. Got to put the author name. Now, on the spine, I didn't stick with just white. I wanted to have a little bit of depth to it. But I have the awesome logo by Erica from the Switch Core community. She did an amazing work with this whole Switch Collector logo. Again, Rusty Shackles did awesome work on the cover. And so on the spine, though, you notice I put Volume 1. But also, let's see if I can get this to show up. March 17 to March 2018. So, that's the thing. So you got your date, month, and year. So that way, if Volume 2 only covers something... The idea was look like GameSpy. Now wait till you see the back. I don't know if I showed much of the back, but check this out. So Payday 2 is the final game, Skull. Correct. And yeah, this spine, I think I did this is one of my favorite spines that I've done. And I got the new Hagen's Alley Entertainment logo. This logo was done by Saru Maru. That's DJ Medina, who's been doing a lot of the really cool... he does streams like all the time. And he also did FX Unit Yuki on the Nintendo Switch that's coming up. So check this out. So the back is like a Nintendo Switch game. So I went over here, got a little JP shout out too. There's some craziness going with the light because I don't have a light. Let me see if I can get a better light over here. Like Jason Voorhees or something. Like, hello. Is that better? That's a little bit better. But, anyways, that light was terrible. So basically we got the physical releases, got the little shout-outs. Physical releases, the Nintendo Switch Collector's Guide that you need begins here. And then I have selected digital titles, which, digital title right here, Blossom Tales, just released. And she's also right here, obviously just released now. There's also a nice one on there with Oxygen Verge, which was a year one, another indie title. Create Your Legacy. And then we also have collectibles and variants, extensive list of items and covers for the obsessed collector. So I like to do that. Do the little shout out. Got the E for everyone with your alcohol reference, mild language, violence suggestions. Like all of that is within the games. Yeah, I agree, Skull, that Blossom Tales was one of the best releases of year one. Definitely one of my favorite releases. And Phil from FDG is a huge supporter of what I do. And I didn't even realize that he was involved with Blossom Tales until like he let me know. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way. Because I noticed in his email it's at FDG. I'm like, are you the same? Like I told him, I was like, you let me know if nobody's releasing that game. Because hell, JP and I will release that game physically. We will figure it out for Blossom Tales. And he said, oh no, don't worry. There's a secret way. And I was like, sweet. And then like another couple months, I think, then Limited Run Games announced it. And I was like, yes, the perfect way to do it. So one thing you notice, 2 bookmark ribbons. So we got a red and a blue for the Switch. Right? So it'll mimic the red and blue. Mimics the red and blue of the Joy-Cons. So I thought that was pretty cool. And he said that's a great thick boy. It's a thick book, thick boys. So this book is definitely thick. It is over 300 pages. Over 300 pages. So it's time to bookmarks. So the second bookmark was a stretch goal for Kickstarter. When we hit it, that was the thickness. So let's open her up. On the inside, you got Tribute to Iwata. And we got the Super Mario Odyssey inside. So this is printed on the inside of the cover. That's one of the stretch goals too. It's printed on the inside of the cover. Then we got some nice fan art. And Switch Collector Volume 1, again showing the years. Then when we go to past my archives of A Warped Mind, I do have my shout out to the Switch community. So I always do a thanks in the front of every book. My first one was my wife. Now this one is to the Switch Core. And basically says, to the amazing Nintendo Switch collector community, the most fun I've had collecting in a long time. Hashtag Switch Core. And then I gave a shout out to Soul Catcher because that is from his collection. It says impressive year 1 collection from Soul Catcher. And I was like, hell yeah, that's amazing. Like I found that up on, I think it was on Reddit. And I was like, yes, I need to give him a shout out because he even has the variants in here that I cover in this book. I was like, it's perfect. So now you see how this weird blue is? If I suit it back, perfect color. So the color's a little bit blue because I don't have great lighting, right? Like I don't have great lighting in here. So let's continue on. I got my own intro. And then we go to the table of contents. So the table of contents, you got your console launch, where we talk about the console launch. Then the physical releases, the physicals, non-English physicals. That was a stretch goal. We hit the non-English physicals, which means that goes in every book going forward. So anything we do in Volume 1 is universal going forward. The digital exclusives, JP's Collector Corner, and community contributors, and games index in the back. So you have your table of contents in the front, and then we go to the Switch Collector section, right? Talking about the Nintendo Switch. But in the back, so I'll skip there, like you have your back ending, but you got your Switch Mania Playcast, but in the back you have your games index alphabetically. So this book is laid out by release date, but in the back we have the games index and what page you can find every single game. Digital, physical, physical, and what section they're in as well. Non-English, all of them. So if you want to find Mighty Gunvolt Burst, you know it's on page 192. This is ridiculous, by the way. This is year 1, and it covers 4 pages. Like, this is insane. The community contributor section. So I'm going to go and show off a few sections. So let's go over to... Alright, let's go back to the console launch. So in the console launch, basically I go over a brief history about each section. So I talk about the launch. I show Doug Bowser, who was part of the Switch's launch, even though he wasn't president yet. He was part of the Switch's launch. I'm talking about the cord cutting ceremony. Will the index expand volume to volume as a complete list, or only titles in that volume? So the index will only be titles in that specific book. Otherwise, it might be confusing to backers and people that are getting just like, say they would just want year 2. It might be confusing. However, you bring up a good point that maybe in the finale I'll have like a Switch, an index that's a manual that I'll use. And I'll use it in one of the Switch cases. Because the Switch cases, the limited ones that I did with the Kickstarter, have a mini manual that's actually a small collector's checklist of every game physically in the US for year 1. So that's another piece too. We got some more art, and then we go into the physical releases. So I talk a little bit about what this is. Mega book containing all the volumes. I've done stuff like that, by the way. So here's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So this is one of the spreads that I had on the Kickstarter. I could bring it up farther, but the actual color gets washed out. So here's Breath of the Wild, the spread. Now, this is what I shared on the Kickstarter, right? Well, there's a second page where I talk about some of the variants, releases, and the different versions. Of course, you have to start a collection book with Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is the best. And you got a full art of Zelda. Then I go into the DLC expansion pack, because you got to talk about that. And then you go into full art for Breath of the Wild, just for if somebody wants to lay this on their coffee table. Like, literally imagine just putting any of these spreads under your coffee table. It's just, like, perfect. Every single one. I mean, I can go ahead and, like, if you go to the next page, you have a double one where you have I Am Setsuna, English, but it's a Japanese. And I put the different flags. So I have a PAL flag for PAL games, Japanese flag for Japanese, and Asian releases. And then you have, actually there were no Asian specific releases this first year except for like in here and stuff, but Super Bomberman. So basically the smaller games get a full page, so every game gets full page coverage, which is pretty cool. If I go to where I have this bookmarked, the next best game, Troll and I. Everybody loves Troll and I. Even Troll and I got some coverage in this book. So I don't rate the games. I don't rank the games. I talk about my experiences with them. So there might be some stuff about like some of the history, like with Troll and I, the nuances of the programming and stuff. One thing I did do, though, if I can bring it close, right there, you see how I did the breakout? I actually created custom icons that were basically the same as the back of the Switch box, and I used the TV, the tabletop mode, handheld mode, and if it supports internet, right? So, and then you have checkmark boxes for yourself if you want to write in the book. If you don't want to write in the book, I have checkmark stickers that people have bought that you can use checkmarks. But if you owned it, if you played it, and if you completed it. And then you have your own rating, which you can 100%, you can 100% use your own type of rating. If you do grades, if you do out of 100, if you do a 1 million point scale, whatever you do. You are the troll here, says Paul. The true badge of collectors. And he said, Troll and I didn't get a full art spread. No, I couldn't do that. That's in the back. It's all in the back. No. So we can go over here. Here's one of the two pagers talking about Rayman Legends. And so I wanted to make sure that with some of the games that were more, like had more of an impact, I would cover it. If they have like cool stuff like the different Splatoon Joy-Cons. Thanks, Richard Wilson. Appreciate it. I wanted to make sure I give those a shout out. And so like every game, like if it was like Street Fighter, and I wanted to show the different modes, different borders you could do, all the different icons, and things for each one. Splatoon 2 also got a double page spread because Splatoon 2 is a mega game. I'll just kind of pick and choose from here on out. This is all exciting. This is amazing, and I've like skimmed through this myself. I just got this today, so I haven't gotten to like go through it crazily. But this is like Christmas every time I get one of my book releases in, because this is the 21st release, or my 20th or my 21st release. So like I've done a lot, and I know when the book's going to be amazing, and these books like turned out awesome. One thing I like is like starting in year one, we started to see developers do this, and I can include it, which is when they do like their promotional art. It's so cool. Sin Mora. Yeah, that one was actually kind of hard to find in year one, Sin Mora. Yeah, Retro City Rampage was amazing. This is the first limited print, And of course, gotta have the full page spread. I did like, though, like when they start doing the limited stuff, like I'm going to include those in future volumes too, because I think that stuff is super rare, super cool, and I dig it. I'm just gonna skip ahead a little. Fire Emblem Warriors, really, really cool. I'm skipping multiple pages, by the way, just so you know. Pues, a little bit of a hidden gaming gem, kind of like Mario 64. Very, very interesting. And, of course, Super Mario Odyssey. So, with Super Mario Odyssey, this is obviously a multi-spread, talking about the console release, when it lands. Like, I tried to go to every single nuance of the games, and talk about all the little pieces, throw in a bunch of cool art with it. Cartoon Network Battle Crashers, which I think is on sale now, like super sale. The actual physical release of Snipper Clips. Got Batman, Ben 10. I am just skimming now, by the way. Gear Club, MSX. Oh, gotta go back one, because you got Axiom Verge. So Axiom Verge is one of my favorites of the year. This one had a nice little cool collector's edition that was more common than the regular edition. It was so cool. Dude, that's the thing, Skull, about this, is going through and collecting all this information in year 3, because I collected it last year. I was like, man, there's so many cool games, and then it was like, all right, we're going to play these on the Playcast. We're playing these on the Switch Mania Playcast. So we started playing. I think we hit up ARMS, we hit up Tumbleseed, we hit up a ton of games from year 1, and I was like, dude, we got to like start playing more year 1. Now I want to play more year 1 on this, but we were playing, I think, Wonderling this week, and we got another game next week. But like, check this out, like this kind of stuff where they show like the different limited versions. You can't even see any of the text right here on this video because I'm just using a simple camera. Gumball Starter Pack, another awesome one. I remember when Matt Papa, who's part of the localization team, was like, hey, this game is coming out. It's not going to be super available. And then I ended up finding a copy, and I was like, yeah. And I sent him a picture. And it's really cool being involved with like the community to get copies of all this. Now, this is an interesting piece, though, is putting the different region variants, because I think that was a cool thing with that game. Sin Mora definitely haunts the Walmart game cases. Alright, let's skim forward a little. We got Resident Evil Revelations. You getting into Siberia. We are still in, because I initially was only going to do the first like fiscal year, and JP convinced me that he's like, no, you have to do the first full year of the Switch in the book, because otherwise it won't be complete. So obviously this is one that Barry says is his game of the year, one of his favorites. First double pack where the second game was download only. Yeah, Resident Evil Revelations definitely did that, and it was ridiculous because I was like, man, I really don't wanna do that. Like, it's insane. One of the worst games of the year. Everybody says Troll and I argue WWE 2K18 is the worst game released on the Switch. I don't know about of all time right now, but definitely in year 1, the worst game I played. Worse than Troll and I, WWE 2K18. You can't even play a match. It's so painful to play. Like, that would be my game that I do not like from the year. 2K20. So imagine 2K20, and how you doing, Michelle? Imagine 2K20 being on the Switch now. Like, it would be even worse than the dumpster fire that 2K20 is on modern consoles. Like, stuff's ridiculous. So this was the original last game when I decided to do the fiscal, like the actual year. Windstorm was the last game, which is a PAL exclusive. It's also called Ostwind, which has a variant cover. And interestingly enough, Stern Pinball Arcade does not support tape mode. So it doesn't support tape mode in there. The vertical mode. This is one of the only pinball games that doesn't support it. All the rest, because I have a custom 3D printed pinball for my Switch with actual buttons and everything, and this game does not work with it. It's really weird. So we go into the 2018s, and we're jumping into Lost Sphere, Count Lucador, Dragon Quest Builders. Amazing game. Love it. We got the longest 5 minutes. We're getting over to Wonder Boy territory. Another amazing game with awesome variants and collector pieces. And of course, I have to have the piggy in here. Lost Sphere, I don't know if it was an exclusive, because I don't think I got mine from Square. I think I got mine online from a member, though. Don't know that. Yeah, this is the other thing, too, is that, like, looking at this so close in the future allows you to go back and get nostalgia on this and jump right in to back to year one into your collection and start knocking out more games. So this is Bayonetta 1. This is your Japanese exclusive that comes in the Non-Stop Climax edition. And then you have the Bayonetta 2, which we got. Sad panda times. And the last game of Volume 1 is Payday 2. So that is at 160 pages. 160 pages just for the console physical release in the beginning. But this is a 312-page book. So wait till you see when I jump into some of the extra pieces here that we have to offer for the Switch collector. So I recreated this. I found this online. This was an old Sonic, promo, but it goes download only. And added this, and I cleaned it up a lot. Sonic Mania Day on November 23rd. So it's really interesting. The interesting part is that I think I had to... Did I have to change the... Because it was August that was released, whereas Sonic Mania Day was November 23rd, back when Sonic was released. So it was a classic, like Sonic Mania is download only. And then this is some of the art pens from the guys who did the next game, Death Squared. So Death Squared was a physical. This one was interesting because this was the first JP contribution to this book, right? So he got SMG Studio to provide a small quote about the release, the physical release in Australia of Death Squared. So they talk about it, getting it, and they released 500 copies sold at EB Games. And basically that's how this was released, was directly by SMG Studio. There. So the question is do you want to count this as a legitimate release? Because technically, Nintendo authorized it for the eShop. They didn't authorize the physical production at the beginning, but the game's authorized. So that's an interesting one. This is the very first Fallsicle. Then the second Fallsicle, Sonic Mania. So check that out. Like, I get to have the full collectors out there. I know that there's, the slipcase and all that. That's distinctive between each version. So you have your Xbox One of its own slipcase over this. I prefer this actual box. It's really amazing. Then we jump into the next section. So there's only 2 in that section. There's more in the next year, the next volume. So right here, you got your non-English physicals, and this is something I don't actually collect myself, but I jumped into it because we hit a stretch goal, and multiple members of Switch Core wanted the non-English physicals. So, I mean, people want it. It's not that hard to do. Now, I didn't write on each one. Like I said, I created a collector's checklist. So basically, these are all the games that aren't too English speaker friendly, but they're all the extra games even Schlagdenstar. So the one thing, though, Skull, that we decided to do, because they are important because of their history and they are actual release in year one, the one thing we're going to do is, in the front of here, you notice I had I Am Setsuna, right? That was in there, and there's English in it. But there's other games like Spelunker Party that I included in the front here, right? I included with the physical releases. I included Spelunker Party. Doesn't support English. From now on, English or not, I'm going to put them in here, and then I'm going to write about those games that are playable. So I'm going to have non-English games and then playable non-English games. So there's that game that I had the full spread on. It's a little bonus, like a little fun game in Japan. It's called Sumiko Parkhe Yukoso. So you got a bunch of games here for the... Now, we got my favorite section to create, because this is literally a bunch of games that are underappreciated. So here are your Nintendo Digital eShop exclusives. So these are highlights. These are the games that we would love to see get a physical release. Some of these have been announced. Some of these have now been released, but at the time of this printing, they weren't released. So what about the games released physically in non-year English year one, but later on? So the thing is that's where this book is going to be dated, because if we have a year one release, then if it has a US release, not including it, right? If it's announced as a US release, not including it. So that'd be the thing. So like Monster Hunter XX, Monster Hunter Ultimate will have its own section, not double dipping if I can avoid it. If it comes down the line that one gets released, we will cover the US English release in the future as well, right? So the section is going to be ridiculously huge in future volumes. So in this one, there's about 40 to 50 games. I have over 200 in year two. That's not volume 2. It's year 2 of over 200. So yeah, Skull, that's how I ended up doing it. And then so basically it all goes out to more content if necessary. And then now we get to see which victories we have getting physicals. So you're going to see first game. In each game I have here, they either get 1 or 2 full pages. But check this out. Like Fast Racing Rmx. The second game already has an announcement. Blaster Master Zero. Like, there's some amazing games that were released. World of Goo. I literally have it sitting right there. Like, World of Goo came out. Mr. Shifty. I thought Mr. Shifty is a really cool game where you get to shift in and out of walls and stuff and fight. Kamiko. This game right here is why I initially got a Japanese eShop account. So, if you have a Japanese eShop account, you can get Japanese games. Well, at first, I didn't think that there's no way in hell we're going to get Kamiko, because I was thinking of Wii U in mind, right? So I'm like, oh, I might want to get eShop. So Blaster Master was my first, and Kamiko was my second. Kamiko's awesome, and it's not that long of a game either. But ironically, and this is before I knew JP Switch Mania, I had my Japanese account, and of course I'm the Subcon 3 is my old band was Subcon. There was 3 of us, and that's been my email forever. Well, my name on there is Subcon JP for Japanese. JP. So I would still use Subcon JP. And that's where I have my version of Kamiko that I beat and everything. Dated or not, seeing games in year one is a good idea. And that's the cool thing, is that some of these, like, I actually didn't want to remove some of the games that I did. I removed A Whole New World, and I loved that game. That spread looks so amazing. It's going to look amazing when we do the physical version in the book later. But that's where it kind of dates things, is that we remove some stuff. It all comes back to JP. Of course it does. Tumble Seed. Not a huge fan of Tumbleseed, even though the game plays good. It's just, I'm not good at it. Like that's it. Like that's the only reason why I'm not a fan. The other thing is that I changed up the front here a little bit. So I just put down the amount of players, the genre, release dates. I didn't put the whole back of the box thing because there is no back of the box on these. So I kept it more digital friendly. Digital friendly, yeah. We got some Rudy McCall's Dark Witch music episode. Mighty Gunvolt Burst. So that's the thing. Mighty Gunvolt Burst is a really cool one. Soon, when might there be a second season coming of the next book? So, anybody's wondering about a Switch collector, and appreciate NX, Switch collector year 2 Kickstarter, because year 2 could be multiple volumes. We're shooting for the fall if I can get everything done. So I like to have everything done and written. So that's the thing. And I haven't started writing this yet. So that's the one piece. Like there's a lot of games to write about. And the Switch is my baby. I don't want to farm out and have other people write like other authors do. Like they have you write, like have people write every other review and stuff. Like I will allow people to write like reviewers and stuff around, but like I want to play the games too. So yeah, Skull, it's what I'm shooting for is the fall for the Kickstarter, but don't hold me to that. It might be the closer to the winter. Like we gotta be in a good place in the book and have it ready, because otherwise I'm gonna spend 6 months writing it after the Kickstarter, and then you're not gonna get your books like this time next year, and it'll be even longer. And the Kickstarter last time was pretty much done when we launched it. So I kind of want to not do that again. I want to get stuff, in a semblance of completion. And I do have to get my novel done for Black Box Challenge, which is live on Kickstarter right now. So I have a Kickstarter live right now for Jeffrey Whitnagan's Black Box Challenge on the NES. We're re-releasing that, but I'm doing a Worlds of Power novel with it, so I have to write that too, and we're doing it like a manga comic book. Are they glossy? You're right. You're damn right they're glossy. They're amazing. Yeah, they're definitely glossy. It's a really thick paper stock too. Here's one of the games I want to see physical. We only got it from Limited Run Games via PS4. I want my Double Dragon 4. I love Double Dragon 2. And Double Dragon 4 is a spiritual successor. I love it. And I did a custom little picture here. It looks like Billy's getting destroyed. Bimmy is getting destroyed. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely use a professional printing company. They market it wherever out, and I can do anything with these. I can do any option. They just cost a lot of money. So it's like I try to do the best quality possible, but like I'm not gilding this in gold, because you can gild in gold, people. You can do anything. I've done some books where we gilded in gold, and it cost like hundreds of dollars per book. It was insane. But I do every single thing. These books will come sealed to you. Like they will be sealed. How many pages is the first right now? 312 pages. What's up, Shivers? Appreciate it. Yeah. 312 pages just in year 1. So we're over at Butcher. We got Ponkapoo, and I had to mention the issue with Ponkapoo from year 1, right? I mentioned that down here. I didn't mention them by name with warned collectors, but I did say that they were supposed to be a physical release. Let's hope we get one in the future, and that was my quote, because I keep things positive, but you can't ignore history either, right? Got Vulgar. So speaking of flip through, I'm going to skip a little bit ahead. We got Floor Kids. So a few of these do have pieces that were written. Alan Jenks wrote this one. You can see the written by right there. So I put the written by right in the, if somebody else wrote it, because there was a couple of these. This one too, 9 parchments. And I put their names in there in case if anybody but me Bill, if you have Ponkapoo, you let me know, because that would be amazing. Because we've all been warned. And I know a lot of people pre-ordered it, and some people never canceled their pre-orders. But as far as I'm tracking, Ponkapoo never was released. Bleed. So, Bleed is a classic. So some of these games in here, though, there's the Blossom Tales. Have some awesome art with it, too. One of my favorite Link to the Past tribute books. Or tribute games. Tribute book to the tribute game. So we got Tiny Metal. So Tiny Metal is where the digital only ended. Tiny Metal does have an announcement. So does Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. So, what's up, Isaac Elkins? Yeah, so both of these got a release too. So, going forward, we got lots and lots of games. Space Dave and Shoe. Super One More Jump. Got crazy games. And like Eternal Blade, which we got Eternal Blade 2. We didn't get Eternal Blade. Crypt of the Necrodancer, the first one. Let's hope we get a double pack with both of those games in it. That'd be amazing. SteamWorld Dig 1. Skyforce, which has a release on the Vita that I have, but I don't have it on the Switch. How complete are the Japanese game version? Bill, if you're talking about the Japanese section, I have every game in there. And so every game is in the non-English plus playables. Now, if they have a release in another region, that supersedes the Japanese release, right? And if that's what you're asking. Got Dandara. Dandara is so good, by the way. Like, it's such a good one. Yeah, Physical of Cadence of Hyrule. This game has such cool art to it. Atomic Run Gun Jump Gun. I had to close my eyes to think that one. Run Gun Jump Gun. Aqua Kitty UDX. Zeo Drifter. That might have a release in the future. Let's hope. No, we got a Zeo. Dragon Sinker, I think, is on one of those Kemco triple packs that came out in Asia recently. So that's another one that I kind of count. Yep, exactly, Bill. Everything. Oh, fair. Typo Man, which is a classic. And the last game, Little Triangle. So from here, we go into JP's Collector's Corner, where we have a picture of his collection. And as of the time of this printing, he didn't just pull out the year ones. That's what I wanted him to do. But you have his Collector's Corner. So in JP's Collector's Corner, we have his habits and tips and tricks. So basically the rabbit hole goes deep. We got JP's Collecting 101, buying everything, buying every release, region free, and variant tips and suggestions on how to optimally collect. So what's up, Loretta? I appreciate it. So basically just how to collect, talk about buying everything, going through, and then he has to buy or not to buy, and basically his guidelines, like if you're going with day one editions, imports, what to buy when you want to play, limited publishers, collector's editions, and sales. So he went over everything. And then he says, next stop, Switch Mania. Of course, he gives himself a shout out at the end. And I have a cool little promo picture. Then we have the community contributors. So in here is where we have people in the community that submitted different types of articles. So this one is Philip from FDG, who did Blossom Tales, and he talks about the development of the game. Then we just have fun with the Switch, like collector stories. This one was from Jack Sauter, aka Skull. So you might be you. Might be you, Skull. And then we go to the next page, and it's literally preparing for releases a year out. So this is Douglas from Living Around Games talking about in year one how they were prepping for the second year of the Switch when all the limited companies came around. This is in the book. These are the cool things that I enjoy. And then you start getting deep into the nuances, and you're like, so how were you preparing in year 1 to get the games ready for year 2? We got people that collect I Am Setsuna. I'm going to skip a little bit because I just wanted to see, because I saw Skull in here. Got lots and lots of stories. And this is how I go, and then I'll take something from there and I'll find pieces of art to match, or if they don't have any art. Like we had right here, which is Caitlin. She actually released Elena Temple, and Elena Temple is getting a shout out in the digital only section in year 2. Don't know which volume that'll fall in, but a year 2. But she wrote a story in year 1 about how she was prepping to get the game released on her favorite console. Got Super Bomberman. Got talking about the first year of the Switch. So some people wrote some craziness. Some people wrote a little bit. But it's super fun. And the thing is, I love reading the personal stories too. Some of my favorite stuff. This was another game, Gogora, that got a release. And so I had to remove it from the game, unfortunately. And we had, so this one, Joshua Michael French probably wrote enough for 8 pages. So that's one thing, is when you give us something, like, don't write more than, like, JP. He wrote way more than JP did even. And I'm like, well, I'm going to give you enough here to talk about everything. Yeah, these are Switch people and the Switch Core community. That's what the Switch Core community is. Switch Core is not just the people who play and collect for the Switch, but it's also those that are part of the community: developers, publishers, musicians, artists, programmers, every single piece, producers, developers, limited run publishers, main publishers. I've seen everybody as part of this community, and it's been ridiculous. It's been awesome. It's my favorite part about collecting for the Switch is like the interconnectivity. Like, when do we get to like talk with the developers on a day-to-day basis? Even doing the Switch Mania Playcast, like, we're talking to developers all the time. So we got my super special thanks here. So we got Rusty Shackles for the amazing cover art. We got John Miller, who was the editing mastermind of this book. He helped edit the book. So blame him if he took your words and made it sound like something else. No, he's good. But also, he did the manuals. He printed the manuals for me. Ozpin, he's doing the wooden covers. Waiting for him. So, yeah, Nintendo never provides anything to the book, even though, like, some of their employees always buy the book. They didn't provide any information to the book usually. They're in their own hole. If anything, like, I'm their collector extraordinaire, their collector person, that the publishing company that covers collectors' books, because I've done multiple of their consoles now. We got JP in here, giving a shout out. We got Matthew, Small Change Arcade. So he's the one who's taken the mantle to create these mini Switch arcades. We got Sorry Mario, who has done the logo. You got for Hagen's Alley. You got Erica, who did the logo for the Switch Collector. And we got Anthony Vasquez. Anthony Vasquez did the awesome trailer on the Kickstarter with all the 3D models and everything. Like, he did some awesome work. So basically, you know, I give a shout out to everybody that was available. And then you have every single Kickstarter book backer that was in here, part of the pre-order. Switch community goes hard. And then I have in the back some of the people that helped out. Like Video Games Monthly put our cards in their packages one month. The Switch Player, I created these ads for them too, by the way, in the book. But Switch Player, we were on the back cover of one of their issues. Then we got Nintendo Soup. So they wanted to do. This is also first. What is it? Is it first print or one print games? They're also Nintendo Soup. So that's pretty cool. And then Unikeep did an awesome giveaway during the Kickstarter. And then we have the Games Index that I showed off. So if there's anything anybody specifically wants to see, I'm going to show off the cover to those that that just got here. Let's see. I'm going to go back and look at some of these comments. This is all so exciting to see. Makes me want to do more to help out in future volumes. I always appreciate the help for sure. It's really fun to make these books like a community project and see them get out there. This is going to be the Switchopedia. This is our definitive source for the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, and it's going to look perfect on my shelf. Way too new to this, Paul, during the campaign. Yeah, the thing about the Switch, though, the best part is that with the community, you can jump in at any period in time, like right now, and still be one of the community and get right into it. It's just, you got some ways to go to catch up if you're trying to get everything. But even I don't collect the complete Switch collection. I'm collecting everything I want. I have my whole Switch thing right here. It's nice and beautiful. I'm looking over to it, and I'm like, that should be in like the background right now. Be awesome. Yeah, that's the thing too, is that these books are available for pre-order at switchopedia.com and hagensalley.com. Does the slipcover hold the book? So I have a slipcover, and then I have a wooden book cover. The wooden book cover will hold both the slipcover and the book cover. Does everybody want to see the slipcover? Because I have it. It's not, I showed this off because this is what people can win in here. If you're subscribing and you comment, you have to like, comment, subscribe, and you get entered in to win a copy. You get to win a copy of the book, right? So, by the way, this is for people who just got in. Like, check this out. The Switch Collector. Yeah. So I didn't want to confuse people by showing off the... Now, this is one where usually I do a lot different of a slipcase and did some crazy stuff. Like, I've done lenticular art where it animates and all this craziness. However, with the slipcase, I went more minimal. So that way I literally just removed the volume and my name, so that way people could display it. So here's the front. And then the side, got rid of the metadata. And then on the back is our tribute. So how this works? Now we have, and you notice I did change one thing of the art. I added the Switch, so it's docked. Right? Is that not ridiculous? Like, so when you put it in the Switch, it's actually docked in the dock. Like, that way, though, if you want to have the book out and you can still have this out for display pieces, it doesn't have my name on it in case you want to have it out without Jeffrey Wittenhagen on it or anything. It's the same with this, too. And then, of course, the tribute, which I also have on the inside cover for those that tuned in. I put it in here, too. For those that didn't get the slip, you still can have it. Yeah, it will hold your place in the bookshelf, too. I always love having slipcases like that because I just feel like it makes things look a little more professional. Those that just tuned in, the back is like the back of a Nintendo Switch game. So this whole thing has the ambiance of a Switch game. The question is, where do we go for year 2 when it comes to a cover? That's the question. Like, when we go to a cover, what kind of art do we go for? Because Rusty, we could go with Rusty, and you could do something similar. Or we could go and find another artist. I know a lot of artists. I like to use indie artists. I like to use professional artists. I know some artists that have done work on Konami back in the day, or Capcom back in the day, or Mortal Kombat, or I know artists everywhere So the thing is, though, Skull, is that if it's gonna be 2 volumes, then that's 2 covers. So you don't want to get art that has all of year 2, right? And then it's gonna be like, oh, well, it has Smash and Mario Maker, and yet those would be in 2 separate volumes because Smash came out earlier than Mario Maker, or vice versa, right? So and then do we want a collage, or do we want to go to a single piece? Because Switch Collector, it's a collector's book, so you go for a collage. Yeah, there are definitely talented people all throughout this book. All the games, all the developers are talented. All I'm doing is doing my part, which is my OCD of creating cool books for everyone. My initial book I created was just because I wanted a Nintendo collector's book. Now I'm doing the same thing for the Switch as it's coming out. The 2 covers connect side by side. So you mean because what it's going to do is it's going to go like this, and then volume 2, it'll say volume 2, and I'm going to use the exact same spine. So that way the alignment goes sideways. That would have been one thing if I had the foresight, if I knew how many volumes. Maybe. See, now you're getting me to think, Kyoto. So the thing is that I could do a box set in the future, like just the box set part, and do like a limited type deal, right? I could absolutely do that, and do something crazy. But yeah, here we go. I'll just do these side by side. Note the difference. That would be ridiculous. Oh, connect the art. That would be interesting, if the background connected, kind of like this does right now. Just continues on. PAL and change the placement on the spine. No, I'm definitely not going to center the spine on the future volumes. I mean, because the thing is, this already takes up the whole spine, right? And so, literally, the things that are going to be consistent on future volumes are going to be, obviously, it'll be red, and it'll change. I mean, literally, I'm going to be changing that on the spine, the years, and that's it. That's all that's changing on the spine. Then on the front, obviously, it'll be the new artwork. And the thing is that the craziness is I have other books coming out. I have a whole video game culture series that I need to reinvigorate. I think I saw a question by Michelle. How long have you been publishing books? So my first book was published in 2012 in Europe by Pixel Nation. Was published. I started publishing because that company went away and nobody got a copy of the book. I got an award for the book and nobody got a copy of the book. So it was Hidden Treasures. I re-released it later as Hidden Gaming Gems, which there are still 9 copies left of that book. It's available, but there's 9 copies left. There's not a whole lot. But that goes all the way up through the Switch, and there are Switch games in Hidden Gaming Gems, and that's available for shipping. So I started, though, with the Complete NES, which was my first book. Started that in 2014. I think published it in 2015, which was more of an indie type deal. That book got so big I had to incorporate and become an actual publishing company. And now I have 3 signed authors with me, working on signing a 4th and a 5th author to my company. And I only do book to book, though. I don't sign the authors exclusively. I just do publish their books when they want to do some awesome stuff. So The Easy Way Friday the 13th with 8-Bit Steve, he's one of my authors now. So I go pretty far when it comes to it. But this is what I play. I play the Switch. So I wanted to be the one to tackle the Switch collector because I love this system. I have over 200, maybe close to 300 games now. 4 Switches in the house because of the wife just stole mine for Animal Crossing. So she got me a new one with part of her money from her job. She got me one. So Smash and Pokemon. What I remember most about year 2 is the first half is mostly ports of first-party games, a lot of big pushes, then jumped on the Switch bandwagon. Yeah, a lot of third party exploded. It also, year 2 is when we hit the classic explosion of the Switch library in the fall. Like, right? Like, so we have like a little trickle like we have right now. We have a trickle out, like they're kind of wallet buster weeks, like this week with Trails and Mana. And then it's like, boom! It goes ridiculous. And it's like this week's going to be insane. But then in the fall, it's going to go nuts. Let's see. Front should have new characters. Yeah, front bill will definitely be associated with whatever that year, and I'll pick out like some of my favorite indie characters, like Blossom Tales, and Oxygen Verge, and then some of the first party favorites. Too much collecting and not enough time. That's right. Character costumes with the Mario Maker. Yeah, that'd be cool. Super Bomberman. It's best played with 2 or more people. Absolutely. My other systems collect dust. You're not wrong. Like, as soon as it like took hold, like I was like, yeah, I need to get my Genesis book started, and I got it all nice and formatted, and then the Switch happened, and this is what my life has been since 2017. It's ridiculous. And that's the thing, like 100 physical games in its 6-month period in the fall. And that's what's going to happen again this year. We're seeing, especially with the pandemic and everything crazy going on, we're seeing a slowdown of everything. Well, it's going to be crazy later, people. It's going to be insane. It's going to be awesome. You don't own a Switch yet. That's insane, Michelle. Yeah, I got a bunch. I ended up with my first one because I got it on launch. And then I got the turquoise one for my daughter. She really wanted it. But I already pre-ordered the Pokemon one for her. So she got that for Christmas. I never got rid of I have it right over here, my teal Switch. And then now my wife stole my original Switch, so she bought me a new one. So I have the Switch 2.0. If everybody knows that there's a 2.0 of the Switch, that's a little bit better quality. So that's what I have now. That's what I was streaming on Saturday when I did Switch Collector Saturday, where I was playing the Switch Mania Playcast game. I was streaming on Saturday, and that was super fun. Remember, if you comment on here, like, comment, subscribe to my channel, you'll be picked by JP on Friday to get a free copy of the Switch Collector. If you have one, you'll get a second one. Like, you can still win. Everybody can win. Yeah, it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be insane for this. So, what other questions does anybody have here for the Switch Collector? I know some people came on later. I can show some earlier stuff if you want. What do I think of the Switch Lite? The Switch Lite is cool for portable gaming. So if you like to play your Switch on the go, it's pretty cool. The only thing I don't like about the Switch Lite is that it's incompatible with certain games. So like, if you want to play Ring Fit, it's going to be pretty hard to play on that Switch Lite, right? 1-2 Switch, again, going to be pretty hard. It's not like you can't, but it's going to be difficult. I think Mario Party is Super Mario Party you can't play on the Switch Lite. There's a couple that you like absolutely can't. Let's see here. When can people expect copies to start shipping out? So you can see copies of this book start shipping out. Like, so what they do is this goes into printing. They mail me, fly it fast to me, and I get a copy. I got a second copy this time, so I could send one to JP. So hopefully he'll do a Twitter unboxing of the book and show it off to you on his Twitter. And then the rest go on a freighter on a ship from the originator, and it takes about 4 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks is what they tell me. It's already been a few weeks, so realistically, in May, everybody should start seeing. At the end of May, everybody should have their books. Now, that is the book only and slipcase backers. Those that got a glass, those that got a print, the prints should already be in the mail. If you're US, you should already got them. Those that got the cases only, I have the cases already made. I did a live stream on Facebook last week assembling the last ones. Those that are getting cards, I should have those done in a week. Those will be out to me. And the t-shirts I already have on hand. So there's a lot of stuff that I have The wooden book covers, I don't have them, and I have to hand ink all of those, so that's going to take a long time. So those that get a wooden book cover, that's going to be a little bit, but the Virtual Boy ones turned out amazing, so the Switch ones are going to be phenomenal when we finish it up. And then I don't have the arcades yet, and I'm still working on the treasure chests as well. So there's a lot of little pieces. So the book will be ready in a couple weeks. The rest of the pieces take a little bit of time because I hand make almost everything. It's nice to not have to mod the system. Absolutely. I love playing all the different regions on the Switch. Yeah, there are absolutely sacrifices with the light. The other thing is that I have bigger hands, so I like using the Daemon X Machina Joy-Cons with my regular Switch. It makes it look huge, but it plays like a real console on the go. I don't take it out of the house, though, whereas my light comes with me if I go to like conventions and stuff. Yeah, I'm definitely getting one to JP because he has been integral in helping me build hype for this, because this is what the book would be like regardless. But the fact that it got so much traction was all thanks to old JP Switch Mania and helping out and being excited and being on the playcast with myself and B. Rizzleberry. It's just been a cool thing, and of course got the shout out in the back to the Switch Mania playcast, our Nintendo Switch podcast that if you subscribe to us online, you'll get one every week that we talk about. We're talking about Wonderling this week. But yeah, so if there are any other questions, let me know. I'm going to wrap things up here. This video will be up on YouTube for a while. And basically, anybody here who isn't watching it live can still like, comment, and subscribe. And leave a comment. If they leave a comment, you're still entered in. Those of you that are here live, though, are way cooler people. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I appreciate Kyoto Films. Any support, always, because I can't do any of this. This is the best hobby in the world. I work a full-time job. I'm not just a publishing company. I'm just OCD, so I have to do everything to the moon. Like, I work a full-time career, too, and this is the best hobby ever. So this is awesome. I'm glad that I can continue to make high-quality books. I've evolved my craft over the years. Like, I started off doing cool books, and now we're doing, like, legendary things for history, and I'm glad that we can create this book for the community and for history. I'm going to try to get it out to libraries if I can. There won't be a ton of Volume 1 copies, though, available, so that's going to be the other piece, is that once Volume 1 sells out, like, we're going to have to do another print run. So, it'll be interesting to see the support. And then Volume 2, look for it in the fall is what we're shooting for. It might be the winter. Depends, because I do have one book release before this. Check out my Kickstarter that's live right now for Black Box Challenge with a full manga-style novel on an NES game like Worlds of Power. Old Blaster Master had one. Well, Black Box Challenge is having a new one, and it looks really cool. It's being done by an artist, as well as a full NES homebrew RPG where you collect Nintendo games on your Nintendo, and it's an RPG. It's ridiculous. The game is awesome. Check it out on Kickstarter. It ends in 2 days. It is almost done. So that game will be done. I'm only doing the amount of copies that I can support on Kickstarter. I'm not doing any extras. This is the second print run of Black Box Challenge. And then I plan to launch my definitive edition of the Complete NES before Switch Collector Volume 2. So there will be the Complete NES Definitive Edition, which is going to be 500 pages for the Nintendo Entertainment System, which is a reversion, this kind of quality, because I didn't know how to do this quality when I first released my Complete NES. And then we're going to launch Volume 2. But if you follow me on Kickstarter, you'll be alerted when I launch something. You can check it out, and you'll also get
an alert when Switch Collector Volume 2 goes live. The slip cover is extra, Bill, just so you know. And I don't do a whole lot of extra of those. I usually leave that as a Kickstarter backer extra as a bonus is usually what I do with that. So, thank you everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you. Keep it